Welcome to the Life with Kring on Air, a podcast about purpose, parenting, and people. In here, we hope to talk and collaborate on how to thrive in the 30s with your 30-something host, Trisha Julio. Today is July 31, 5:36 p.m. and since it's a holiday, I've been planning to do some blogging about my last day of July 31 and the intro to my birth month, which is in August. And being a mom, it's actually hard to squeeze a lot of things in. So I haven't been to the laptop yet. And right now, I have been breastfeeding Oniara while recording this one. And because of that, I am thinking that maybe instead of doing a blog, which almost always takes me some time to write and then cannot do anything but just blog. So today I'm gonna try sharing through a podcast. I'm not really sure how to do that because it's just hard, but I will try. And also, one of my inspirations comes from today. Uh, I discovered that Onyara's iPad has has a podcast. So when I searched through it, I stumbled into a podcast from a girl from Manila, Philippines. So it's Adulting with Joy Spring, and um, I I don't know what happened, but I it just occurred to me to listen to her first podcast, and um, maybe God is telling me to just listen to the first podcast and get an idea on how to start mine. So I listened to that, and then that first episode from her was kind of telling me maybe I could do like that too. So that one, but still I don't have the time since I haven't had lunch yet, and it was 3 p.m. So while having late lunch with Yaya and Onyara, we listened to her podcast and then another episode as well about her recent podcast about starting podcast. I actually cannot remember everything about it, but it inspired me more to create mine. So that's why I'm trying to start mine. But then again, after 30 minutes of thinking about it, I was hesitant because there's a lot of things to do first. Like before, whenever I wanted to do things, I just do them. But right now, being a mom and doing a lot of things at work, most of the time I just don't jump in. I always right now take the time to plan things. And while I am planning, midway I just thought that if I don't do it now, I wouldn't be able to do it later. That's maybe the dramatic change of being a mom. So I'm gonna just talk about starting a podcast right now. So help me run through with it. And so what I am doing right now while breastfeeding on Yara is I am looking through our computer, and then I am reading stuffs about how to make your first podcast episode. So that one. And I'm also reading stuffs about 10 beginner tips for starting your first podcast. But I'm actually just breezing through all of them, because I just want to talk. Uh, I just want to talk about my thought process on how I came up with wanting to have my own podcast. So that is why I wanted to blog today. But since I couldn't blog, I thought of just making a podcast since it is easier for me to breastfeed while talking. So that's my first reason. Second is why I'm starting a podcast. Second, because I want to share. Despite the lots of responsibilities, increasing responsibilities at work, at the home, and as a Christian, I still want to share because uh, I believe that to be able to share and inspire others is what I am purposed to do. So if I'm not sharing anything, so it makes me feel less connected to my purpose. So that's my number two. Then my number three is that I want to help. Sh- I I really want to help. I'm a product of help myself, so I just want to help others. But as to what help I would give, I don't know right now because for the 10 beginner steps for starting podcast is knowing your content, and I actually don't know what to say yet. Okay, you they said that you focus on your passion, and as for me, I have a lot of passions. For those who have known me, you might have realized I have been into a lot of things, but honestly, I have one to three ideas in mind, but I'm not yet sure. But we'll see. But maybe you could help me choose my topics. And sorry for the noise. While I'm talking, Onyara keeps on pulling the mic down. So okay, maybe my first topic would be how to make a podcast while breastfeeding your baby or while you are doing something for your baby. So yeah, I'm gonna do it soon. But right now, this is just a thought process of what my topic would be. So because the third reason why I want to start my podcast is I want to help. Okay, so to be able to help, I should know the content of what I'm sharing. So and to be able to help continuously, I should know a lot of things about the things that I want to share. So, how will I do that? So, the first step was to think about your passion. So, what are my passions? Honestly, I've been into a lot of things. So, I like before when I'm still single, I like travels. I have a blog, The Wonderful Life. So it mostly talk about the husband and I's treks, and travels. So and also our board gaming. But right now that we have Onyara, so I actually have a 21 months old baby girl, the cutest baby girl, such a pretty girl. So I think it would be, what do you call this? It would be long before we could resume that wonderful life. So maybe I will put that wonderful topic soon when we can resume to trek to traveling with a toddler. So yeah. So I'm not gonna talk about my passion for trip, and board gaming because it's hard right now. So my next maybe passion is women. I love women. Maybe people. So I just want to talk and share to people, like I'm interested I'm interested with their stories, like when I always feel like I'm at my best when I'm surrounded with people, especially new ones, like when for example, when you like for a maybe for a what do you call this, like yung so going back to my third reason why I'm starting a podcast, which is to help. So right now I am listing the topics that I could help people with, which is related to my passion. So as a recall, my first passion is wondering. So I have a blog, The Wonderful Lives, where I write about the husband and I's trek, travel, and board gaming. And so, since we have a 21 months toddler right now, it's hard for us to squeeze in our wonderful life. So, I'm not gonna talk about it anytime soon. So, which leads me to my next passion. Number two, my next passion is people. Why people? Um, I just if other people are interested in books, like when they say some book, oh, they are just happy to have a book. As for me, I get really excited when there are new people around me. Like I'm always interested in how they think, like how they think, especially their stories. Like it makes me feel happy to know and connect to other people, especially if I can help them improve, or I can just listen to them and impart some good things, like especially if I can share them about my positivity or about Jesus or about anything. Like it just warms my heart to be around people. So that's my second passion, people. And I think I could write a lot about people, but then since people has a lot of areas, so which areas? Maybe I could this passing weeks I at work the there's an organization at work where in February I stepped up and volunteered to be the cluster lead. So it's actually a company-wide organization, and in February they don't have a cluster lead. So it was funny how I got to join the event, but after the event I just the Lord just talks to me that, Kring, you have been silent for a while, and this is your chance to pick up where you left off in our goal. um Maybe in my future podcast I would talk about how I came to my current company now, but just to have an overview, when I transferred to my company right now, the one of my personal agenda was to not create, was to be part of a women organization, because in my previous company was very I was very active, and a lot of I feel I have helped a lot of women um, step into the spotlight and do uh like what do you call women empowerment. So that's in my previous company, and then when I transferred, one of my considerations with the new company is that is that I knew, and they told me that their company is very supportive about women empowerment. So that's my personal agenda. But um, I would say I wouldn't say it's unfortunately, because what happened was I wasn't able to pursue that personal goal because 3 months into joining the company, um, God changed his mind and I got pregnant. So maybe in my future blog, I could also tell you how that miracle happened. But yeah, so 3 months into the company, I got pregnant. So totally the women empowerment thing was forgotten and put into the back seat because since the pregnancy was a miracle, we wanted to keep it that way. So I was so thankful that I have rolled into a team, and my manager is very supportive in my pregnancy. So um I just focused on some little details on tasks, and then mostly my 2018 is all about pregnancy or being pregnant. So I didn't do a lot of things. That's why. And 2019 as well. So 2018 I was mostly pregnant. Then by October 2018 I Onyara was born. So I focused on motherhood. So that's it. So then 2019 was all about motherhood. Then comes 2020. So believe me, motherhood is a lot of things, and I'm so empowered and happy to become Onyara's mom, and everything was just awesome. But still, I wasn't able to pick up where I left off with the women empowerment thing. But then the awesome thing happened in February. I got an invitation to join the company's corporate citizenship appreciation activity in February. So that is where I stepped into becoming the cluster lead for the entire corporate citizenship women in the company. So at that time, I was thinking it's not really a big deal because um, the organization is just starting. That's how I thought about it. And uh, so going back in February, I stepped into the role, but then in March, as we all know, quarantine happened, and I got busy at work as well since another blessing came in. Um, in my project, I have received a new a new activity where I was the product owner. So it was a new role. So aside from that volunteered cluster leadership, I was also granted a new role to become a product owner. So that is when I need to choose. And luckily, I don't have to choose because in the being the cluster lead doesn't take really much of my time in February because um, since the organization is pretty new, there wasn't a lot of activities going on. So I was able to do my thing in March until recently, until when was that? Until the start of July. So during the start of July, in our company, um, September is the start of our fiscal year. So this time in July, we are already planning for our plans for the next fiscal year. So that is why I am quite busy this moment because the cluster leadership has been put into the spotlight. And the passing weeks, I've been thinking whether to continue being the cluster lead or to just give it up since I haven't really been so much help in the passing months, and God and I has settled about it already, and I and I think I'm gonna pursue the cluster leadership because God has always been good to me, and I think the time I have with Onyara is good, and I don't think being a cluster lead for women would take so much of my time. And I think now that I have talked about it, I realized that maybe I could talk more about my journey into creating a women organization in my current company, because even though I have tried to do it in my previous company, being here is actually a different, like it's a totally different atmosphere. Um in the passing days where I what do you call it, where I encourage women to just be involved, it's just actually hard. Like it actually needs more prayers, because most of the, I don't know, maybe most of the women that I come to contact with, or what do you call that, reach out, they're just not interested in being a part of a women who wanted to make a difference. As for me, I don't understand it, because most of my life I just want to, be involved and make a difference. And I always tell people, like, yeah, I'm just not, maybe I'm abnormal, because I always want to connect to others, and to make a difference. And then I think that's maybe not a common thing to some people. So, and I think it will be hard for me to pick up where I left off in my previous company when it comes to handling a women organization, because where I am now, it's a different thing. It's hard, and I don't know where to start. But as always, when I start something new, I always ask God's help. So right now, God is just preparing the women that will help me make a difference. So the third topic that maybe I could talk about as well in my podcast is my walk with Christ. So aside from my wanderings, number two, people, and my passion for women empowerment, my third topic that is near my heart is about my relationship with Christ. So, as I recall, or for those of you who doesn't know me, so in 2016, I started a relationship with Christ, and maybe in a future episode, I would tell you how that was, but it's all written in my blog. But yeah, I could do an episode about it. But but yeah, in 2016, I was introduced to a born again Christianity. So it's funny how I came to that point, but God was just awesome with me, and I realized that God was just with me all the time. Before I was even a Christian, I was already claiming that I am God's favorite, and then I realized that when I became a Christian, there is actually a God's favorite. And yeah, I know I'm God's favorite, but right now I realize that I am a child of God. So they are two different things, but being a child of God is way, way, way better than just being God's favorite. So maybe I could talk about that too, my walk with Christ, and how it has helped me with my inner battles. So as um I think I haven't mentioned it, but before I was very, like, in to wait, I'm already 33 years old now. And in my 20s, I was very, like, I'm such a huge negative, I'm not mentally retarded, like, very unstable, like very unstable person, like. And then right now, I there's still this unstableness, but especially when it comes to, there are a lot of things that doesn't grow while you get older, right? So I think there are some things that I still have, but fortunately, the Lord is always helping me how to deal with it. My walk with Christ and my relationship with Him has helped me in a lot of ways, especially my pride. So I'm a prideful person. So I'm a prideful person. I'm a narcissist. Like, then I there's a lot of negative. Like, there are way more negatives than positives. Then at, as of this moment, I can tell you that most of it was just right now. If I'm going to look back at the person I was before Christ, I just cringe at the thought of it. Like, oh, why am I like that? Why am I oversharing? Why am I so? But then then I would but today I'll just be at peace and at ease that God is passionate with me, that the voice of the world doesn't matter, but only God's voice matters. And every day I am thankful that He's always guiding me. He's always, maybe this podcast is not an accident. It was not an accident that I was able to stumble into the podcast of Joy Spring, which I later learned that she's also a Christian. She's a Christian woman, and then she is starting a new series as well in her blog about her relationship with Christ. And although I'm vocal about my relationship with Christ, sometimes like there's still this hesitation to share. And maybe I could talk about it more uh, on a future episode about how I carefully curate my friends right now that I am a Christian, because the people that you surround yourself with always matters. So I had to I in number two, I always love people, and it's my biggest, it's my biggest heartache letting go of some people because they just won't fit in my journey with Christ. But I didn't really have to cut the ties off. Um, it's hard to cut ties with people. It just happened naturally. Like, I maybe God is helping me forget those people. Like, as a person, I'm always interested in helping people. Like, there are times that I just can that I just miss having to check with this person, like, how is she going through with life, how is she has this depression and all, how is she right now. And then before I would automatically, hey, how are you, like this, like that. And then but right now what I'm doing is that I just pray for the person, because sometimes the help that we extend to people, like, it made them dependent to us, which is not actually good. Sometimes it's better to let the person grow on their own, and then have them come to terms with their growth and call on you when they need you, not because you are always there for them. it took me a while to realize that one, and my relationship with Christ helped me to deal with it. And there are a lot of things, especially my relationship with my mom, with my mama, with my brother, and with my relationship with, especially with my coworkers. Because yeah, so I think I could talk about it as well. How my walk with Christ changed me as a person. Because if it changed me, if it's helpful to people, then maybe it's also helpful to others. So, and I don't think I have shared it before, but I'm not really depressed or something, but I have anxieties too. Like, despite my confidence, oozing level of confidence to talk to people or to share what I thought, I also have anxieties, especially when presenting, when talking to people. But I deal with it. I just thought that those anxieties can be dealt with. And right now, how I deal with my anxieties is I pray to God, as I ask God, Lord, please help me with this. I just need to do this. So even this recording, I ask God, Lord, just let me know how to say it, because I will be posting this raw. I don't know yet on how to edit, but yes. So the first episode would be raw. So that's it. So the fourth topic that I could maybe talk about in this podcast is motherhood and parenting. So, as I recall, I have a 21-month-old baby girl, and so far, parenting and motherhood has been awesome. But I know there are a lot of things that I have yet to learn, and I I don't know. I'm not really the expert of this topic, since I just had a 21-month old. I just have Anyara. But I want to maybe um, ask help from other mothers out there, how they are dealing with motherhood and parenting, because the platform for parenting nowadays is very different than the platform of parenting before, right? So we all need, like, a support system. We all need people to help us navigate through the roads of parenting. But not really to compare. I hate comparison, guys. So I hate it when my baby is like this. Although I try to do that in social media, but I'm actually very careful in what do you in oversharing about Onyara, because I am a product of a different upbringing as well. Like my mom and my uncle used to, King is this good, King is this awesome, and all, and although I'm good, like, I grew up awesome. Thank you, Lord, for that. I don't think I can have Onyara have that, what do you call it, level of anxiety, the anxiety that I had growing up as a in an environment environment like that. So right now, the husband and I has always been, um like, talking to each other about how we would raise Onyara. So maybe I could also talk about it, and maybe on that segment I could invite the husband and on how he is thinking on how we will raise our Onyara. So okay, so I think it's a good topic as well. So parenting and motherhood. Then the fifth topic that I could talk about is my favorite. Although, yeah, it's my favorite. And then that's because it's relationship. So right now, because I'm married, and I know the husband and I has been married for 5 years, and I think there's still a lot to learn. And maybe I could talk about that on the podcast as well, like how are we navigating marriage? How are we navigating marriage in the time of quarantine? Like how are we as a couple? Um, because we all need a little help. Um, I am a Christian, and then the husband is not a Christian, but right now we are part of our couples ministry in our church, and I find it very helpful to be surrounded by other couples as well. And then each monthly gathering that we have, whenever they share about their victories and then hardship in marriage, it actually helps me to like it it actually helps me to uh what do you call it, like it teach me a lot of things to be careful for this and that, and I'm thinking that maybe if it helps me, it could help others as well. And right now I don't know if the couples has this couple wait, what do you call it, I think in Catholic it's how do you call it, I forgot the term in Catholic, but couples for Christ. So I just wish that um some of my couple friends, even if they're Catholic, they would join the couples for Christ. And so marriage right now in this age is very different than the marriage our parents has. So we all need a little voice and a little support in how to to nurture our marriage. So yeah, I could also talk about that. And I think I may have covered all the topics that I wanted to pursue in the podcast. So that's five, and that's the reason for help. And then maybe I could add a six topics about life update. So life, why life update? Um, the main purpose actually of my blogs before was just to document my life. I'm very forgetful. So, and then I'm very OC with how I spend my time, my money as well. So, especially if, like, for example, then I'm also fond of celebration. So, I always take pictures because I will forget about it. And then before, it's always easy to take pictures and then post on social media. But right now, I'm just focusing on taking pictures and not posting them. So, and because the blog has lesser people compared to my social media, so I just wrote everything in my blog. But then for the podcast as well, maybe I could also talk about life updates in the podcast. So to remind myself and also to update my family and friends that I'm doing good. And I think I have covered everything about why I want to start a podcast at the start of my birth month. And as a person who likes to start something new on the first day of every month and then to do countdowns for a special day. So, how about doing a 20-day challenge, a podcast challenge until August 20? OMG. How can I do that? So, if you have any idea on how to make that 20-day challenge achievable, please do ping me or give me a message or just, hey Kring, this is what you should do and something like that. I would love to know your thoughts, guys. So, yeah, I think this is it. It's been a while since I have talked this long, and I think, yeah, I like it now. So, think this is it. Bye bye. And if you get to this point, do message me, please. Just say, Kring! Guys, my love language is words. Anything, just as long as it's words. Thank you so much for listening and for always focus on God first and the rest will follow. Thank you. Goodbye and God bless.
This episode of Life with Kring on Air was brought to you with love and prayers. Thank you for tuning in. If you want to hear more, please subscribe and share what you think at lifewithkring.wordpress.com. And as always, have a blessed day and remember that we are not made to survive, but we were made to thrive. Happy thriving, friends!